How's it going, everybody? Chris here. Welcome back to the Casual Gamer. So today, before we start this video, I'm going to apologize. This was meant to be an unboxing video, and I did a video on that. However, the video was not good quality, and it was actually pretty bad, so I didn't upload it. So we're kind of just going to do an impressions video. Just know that with the unboxing, it came with everything it was supposed to. I got the Proffie Shadow Hunter 36-inch blade. Everything that was supposed to be in the box came with it, which is the power cords. Of course, each one comes with the battery. Came with the charger, came with the stand, which you can see here. It's just kind of a wooden stand with a nice little Theory Saber plaque in there. Okay, this is actually the one from the Negotiator, but this one is the exact same. So right off the bat, I will say this is a really, really nice saber. When I took it out of the box, immediately I noticed that the hilt is much lighter than the Negotiator 3. Even when put together, it actually still feels fairly light. However, it doesn't feel cheap. Okay, it actually still feels really good quality. The other thing too is the blade on the Shadow Hunter is actually a bit thinner than what you would see with the Negotiator. So it's a slightly thinner blade. The Negotiator is a little bit thicker. And we'll do some more comparisons a little bit with the blade itself. Now, the other thing as well, when you open up the Shadow Hunter, it's going to come with some little black bands that kind of go in a lot of the rivets on the hilt. Now you can use these. You don't have to use these if you feel. I've had them kind of slip off sometimes when I'm twirling the saber around. Not too often though, so it might be a little more better for them when they're just being used as a prop. However, it's not a huge problem to leave them on while you're swinging around and messing with it. The other thing as well to show you on these, on both of the hilts, these are your buttons. You have your power button and your auxiliary button. All these knobs are just for show. They can twist off. So you just have to make sure they're tightened down. And even the power and the auxiliary button also can twist on and off. So I had a problem during the other video where I was having to really press down on the auxiliary button to get it to do what I wanted, realizing that it wasn't twisted on all the way. And then it was much easier. So just be aware of that if you unbox it and the buttons aren't working like you think they should. You might just have to twist them down a little bit. And you'll be able to tell. They'll be risen a little bit, and you can just twist them on. Obviously, right now it's not connected, okay? I'll show you the connection in the minute. But when you screw off about the midway point on each of the hilts is where the battery and the board is going to be. Now to charge it, you don't have to take this piece out. In fact, it was pretty secure in there, so I didn't want to mess with it. I think that's what this screw is for, probably to take this out. However, this one, unlike the Negotiator 3, has a charging port. So you'll be able to use the charging port instead of having to pull the battery out, which is just a USB-C. And then it just screws back in. Now, similar to the Negotiator 3, the user manual that comes inside the box is a brief overview of how to turn it on, things like that, of the different button types of sabers. To find a more complete manual, you'll want to go on the user guides on Theory Sabers, which is actually a very detailed user guide. It's self-explanatory. You just have to know what buttons which on your particular saber. So on the Shadow Hunter is just those two there. The other thing as well, which will show when they're connected, okay, each one controls still separately, okay? So you're gonna have to, if you want them the same color, you're gonna have to make sure they're set to the same color. So we're just gonna kind of go through the user guide on the saber. I'm just following along with the user guide to show you kind of the different things with it. And then at the end, we'll connect them together and kind of do a little bit of a comparison with the Negotiator 3, the SNB4. So first thing off, we'll go ahead and press the power button. Okay, now immediately with this, and this is probably the Proffie version, not so much because it's the Shadow Hunter, the ignition is a little bit more intense. You can kind of see it has almost like a little bright thing to it, versus the SNB4 is just kind of, you just see the light go up. So I'll do it at the same time here. It's a little bit better on the Proffie version. So it seems to have a better ignition. The other thing I noticed with the blade, and we'll show a little bit later too, is it kind of has a flicker effect versus a solid color like the SNB4 one, which makes it feel a little more alive, like a little more like an actual lightsaber versus just a stagnant color. Now it has a battle mode, which is holding the auxiliary while swinging, which you can kind of hear. Okay, I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be, but some of you may like that. Okay, but that's there. You can also do a muted ignition by double tapping the power button. So if you want to ignite it without the sound, okay, maybe just to see the blade color, you don't want to wake anybody up, something like that, you can do that there. And then to turn it off is just pressing the power button again. Okay, we'll kind of skip to the bottom of the user guide and talk about how to change colors. So by holding that auxiliary button, which is again that bottom button, and clicking the power button, you'll hear that sound, and then you just twist the saber. Okay, and you'll get all these different colors. Okay, which is actually really cool. Sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt to get the exact color you want. Sometimes I'll press the button and I'll rotate it a little bit and it'll hit a different color. We'll try to keep it, let's see here, at red, just since it's, of course, Darth Maul's saber here. Okay, the other feature is the power save feature. While holding it up while it's on, you hold the auxiliary and press the power button. That should, in my mind, be shutting it off for a power save mode, okay? Okay, now to play the music track while it's off, if I hold the power button, now you won't really hear a sound, you just have to hold it for about a second and release it. And you'll start hearing the music. Okay, and you can turn it on like normal. Okay, right now the music that's playing is kind of quiet, but you can hear the music, okay, which is a really cool feature, something I don't think the SMV4 one had. And to turn it off is the same way. Hold the power button a little bit for about a second, half a second, and release. Now for the volume is about kind of similar to the music, how we're going to hold it. Hold the auxiliary button for like that half second. You'll hear that beep. Then you can move up and down. Just volume up is the power button, volume down is the auxiliary button. Okay, and then when you find the volume that you like, you just hold the auxiliary button and release. Okay. And then you'll have your sound adjusted to the way that you want. And with the blade ignited, kind of similar to the SMV4 and all the other ones, the auxiliary button, by tapping it, you'll have like a blaster effect. Okay, another thing too is this one is very responsive. The other thing too is when you're clashing, you can lock it up by pressing and holding the auxiliary button. Oops. Okay, while you're clashed. So that's pretty cool. Okay, another thing is a drag function. Now it happens, and you won't really be able to see it on camera, but if you press down, like kind of like you're stabbing down and hold the auxiliary button, you'll get a clash or a drag effect. Okay, that will kind of do that on the tip of the lightsaber. And then by holding power or the auxiliary while thrusting forward, you'll get the melt function, I believe it's called. Lightning block is just simply holding the power and the aux button. So the lightning one is by holding the power button and clicking the auxiliary button. Okay, you'll get that lightning effect, which is really cool. Okay, you'll get this effect, called the force effect, if you hold the power button while it is on. Okay, you'll get that little effect there. You do have a stab function, okay, which you can kind of hear that effect. I think it's supposed to clash if you actually hit something with it. And that's kind of a lot of the operational functions on that guide. Okay, saving this part for last. This is actually the music track. I guess you can call it the music track. So if I hold it sideways and I press the auxiliary button.
I'm Cal, and this is PD1.
Okay, you're going to have that effect, right? Now, one thing with this one as well, the Proffie version, the color of the blade seems to match up with what you'd expect from the voice line. My SMV4 Negotiator 3 doesn't always do that. Sometimes this could be a red blade with Cal's voice. I don't know if that's just an issue with mine or if that's just how it is on the SMV4. I don't know. But this one seems to be more accurate. Okay, and then if I hold it upside down, it'll actually go backwards. Okay, so you can see a bit of a different ignition there. All right, I like this one a lot, actually. And it'll have a different sound, just similar with the SMV4 as well. Okay, so this will go forward. This will take it behind a track if you missed the right track list. So let's see if we can find Darth Maul's here.
At last we will have revenge.
Okay, to make it more fitting, of course, to Darth Maul's. But that's kind of the basics of the different functions and features. Really, really nice. I can tell you, and we'll do a little bit of a comparison. You might not be able to tell as well on camera, but I can tell you in person, the blade brightness between the Proffie and the SMV4 Negotiator 3 I have is about the same. So if you're looking to buy a Saber and you're worried about which one's going to be brighter, they're about the same. However, the Proffie, again, has a little more of a flicker to it and a little more of a live, realistic feeling. So it definitely has the one-up um, on that. The other thing as well is the sound is definitely better. Okay, the sound is definitely better, just ever so slightly. And of course, the ignition on the blade, at least for me, seems to be more accurate to go with the music. I wouldn't say the music track, the voice track, anyways. Now we'll go ahead and put these bad boys together so you guys can see. Let's see if this is on red. Okay, it is. We'll go ahead and put these bad boys together so you can kind of see how they look like. Now I don't have a lot of room to swing it, and they just sit in the center here, and you just twist them on. Oh, half of it already wants to activate. Okay. The other function I forgot to talk about, and I can do it while both of them are on. Of course, you can press the power buttons on each, okay, to turn them on. Okay, very, very nice. Or you can flick your wrist, right? That'll turn both of them on or off. And the same thing with the single. If you have them detached, you can do that as well. So now the sound does get muffled ever so slightly, obviously, because now they're coming through kind of these holes in the center versus just open. So a little bit less room for the volume, but they still sound great. Very, 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 very nice Saber. In some ways, I kind of like this more than the Obi-Wan blade, but Obi-Wan's my favorite character, so his will always be my favorite. But very, very nice. Same thing. The other thing too is if you're changing colors, again, you're gonna have to change them. So let's say I want a green. You got a little Christmas Saber going on. But same thing. Same thing there, right? So now you got a good Darth Maul, okay? Just so you can kind of see a little bit of the sound effects and everything there. Now, if I turn off some of the lights here, okay, I know some of it you're going to have some light because it is daytime right now, obviously, but you can kind of see a little bit more of the brightness. Okay, we'll turn this one off here. Okay, so you can see kind of the blues and the different colors of there when it's not so bright. Looks really, really good. Okay, let's go back down to red here. Okay, now let's look at the SNV4 so you can kind of see, okay, the different brightnesses there. If we compare, let's say we compare blue. Now if we compare the blues, there gives you kind of a second color you can look at and see between the Negotiator 3 SNV4 and the Proffie Shadow Hunter. So you might be able to see just off of my shirt and face and just the light in the room, the flicker, versus here, it's more of a steady and stable light. So kind of depending on which one you prefer and which one you like, maybe that will help dictate which one you want to buy. Personally, for me going forward, Proffie is what I'm going to start buying. I like the blade effect and just the sound, which is, to my ear, ever so slightly better and a little more accurate. But the SNV4 is also an incredible blade. So for those of you out there who are maybe just can't afford Proffie, the SMV4 is a wonderful, wonderful blade. So don't get too worried about that. But if you want a little bit of that extra flair, Proffie's probably the way to go. And from what I understand, you can connect like the SD chip or whatever's in there to your computer and kind of tinker with the sounds on Proffie, which I probably won't do because I'm not that savvy. But that's kind of my general overview of the Shadow Hunter. Really good feeling blade, like just like the Negotiator 3, which is heavier and does feel more sturdy. This one also feels just really well put together and well done. It doesn't feel cheap. And again, I apologize that it's not an actual unboxing because again the video is bad. However, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a rundown, a little bit. I probably should have done this before, of the design here to show you up close. But hopefully this gives you a bit of a rundown of what to expect. The sizes were right that I ordered, the 36-inch blade. This is definitely a long blade. Not as long as you might think. It's not, extremely long like some type of pike, but of course it is long. I can't really swing it very well in here, but as for any Darth Maul fans, I think you will be very happy with this blade. I am, and I can't wait to buy more, even though it might take a little while. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. May help you make a little more of a decision of what to expect if you're thinking about buying the Shadow Hunter, or if you bought one, a little bit of a guide on how to use some of the functions. And that's it for me. So until next time.